Hi everyone, I'm Eric.
I'm Craig.
And I'm Rich.
And we are Whose Turn Board Games. In today's video we are going to be doing a review on the ever so lovely Caverna. This game came out quite a bit ago, I think 2014 or so.
Yeah, it's been out for a while.
Yeah, it's been out for a little bit. It's had its couple of turns around the sun, but it's still one of my favorites that we play every once in a while. In it, you take the role of a dwarven tribe, and you have to cultivate the outside lands of your mountain. You to work both inside a mountain and outside the mountain. In the mountain is where you have your storehouses, your dwellings, your mines, and then outside is where you're going to be growing all your food in order to feed all your dwarves. You kind of have to balance the two of them a little bit in order to survive, which is kind of its charm. Part of its charm is that there's a lot going on with it. So this is a 1 to 7 player game, which can be very daunting with a lot of people, as we'll get into here in a little bit. But for the most part, it's a really fun little one, and I'd say probably about a half hour or so per person, we said.
Yeah. That's what it says on the box. So
Oh,
it
does. Yeah.
7 people, good 3.5 hours.
Yeah, definitely.
that's if you're not training.
Yeah.
Teaching people what's actually going on.
So we're just going to start off right off the bat with one thing I really don't like about the game, and I think we are all in unanimous agreement on this.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that this is about everything you need to set up the game. So
That right now is about half of what you need to set up the game.
we're not done
Still
yet.
going.
Yeah. Yep. So there's a lot of pieces. There's a lot of things. It's probably a good 15-minute. We're still not done. 15-minute setup just for setting up.
And the board's not out yet.
Yeah. Board's not even out yet. You have to figure out what kind of difficulty you're playing with. If it's going to be the beginning levels, which we've only played with a couple of times, or the advanced ones, and then that's a whole new set of eggs, and then everything like that. So it's a very daunting. It's very confusing, as every single spot is labeled 1 to 4. But that is what a general board will look like. That is your board. So everything else is what can be done with your board. So that's the setup and teardown is the worst part of this game by far. 100%.
Yep. You have to commit to the time to play the game plus setting it up and breaking it down.
Plus you 20 to 30 minutes.
30 minutes a person plus 30 minutes of setup and teardown.
Well, it's not quite that long. It does.
Well, adding the two together. Maybe.
It takes about 15-20 minutes for setup and teardown combined, but there's a lot. There's definitely a lot to it, which is actually one thing that I do love about the game, is that there's a lot going for it. It has a lot of different options you can choose. There's not just, hey, you're going to do this and you're going to win. It's you do farming and you are left alone with farming, you will dominate. If you play your cards right, you are left alone with expeditions, you are going to dominate. So it's kind of everything can kind of work out, which is just how the game is, and that's why I really enjoy this game.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of paths you can take for victory in this. You gotta kind of work around what you kind of see everyone else doing and try and work around them to get the most points out of each action you take.
Yeah, and every action just feels meaningful. Like, I feel like there's not many throwaway moves.
No.
Like, I've brought it before, maybe say Lords of Waterdeep, you're towards the end and you're just kind of like, okay, I guess I'll go here.
Yeah,
and it just feels like a waste, whatever it is.
Very rarely you can have a really good action.
Yeah, I don't feel like even a waste is taking the chopping trees only, but you're doing that when it has like 8 wood on it, and so now you're getting wood for pretty much the whole game out of that one turn.
Yeah, and there's very few times that spaces don't get used. Yeah, I'm only get used once or twice throughout the game, but there are very few actions overall that generally get skipped. For example, we did supplies when we did a 3-player game just recently, and I think we did that 3 or 4 times. When we've played 2-player, I don't think we've ever gone in supplies. Not once. Never.
There's usually a little bit more better actions that you can kind of take, and are kind of blocked off the other ones.
Yeah, so it's like it just depends on who's playing, what their strategy is, and what's going on. So that's what is so great about just in general, is that there's no one, like you said, a clear path to victory.
There can be some like actions you can take that seem like they're obviously better than others, but there's always, if someone goes on one, there's always another backup spot that you can typically go on. And another thing I like about this game is every round that something's not being gone on, a lot of times you're adding extra resources to it to make it more worthwhile for you to actually go on their spot, which if that wasn't the case, there's there'd be 1 to 2 spots that would never even be played.
Yeah, and that I hate to cut you off real quick. I know you're going to say something, but that's one of my favorite things about this too, is that it literally tempts you every round to make that action just a little bit better. Well, I really don't want to build more spots in my cavern or my thing, but I'm getting 4 stone, and I'm also upgrading it and getting more spots. So it just makes it that much. It kind of changed your strategy every single turn because there's more stuff with it. So
Yeah. And another part of that is I like that it's not like you can block better, I think, in this game than others. You can see what someone else is going for. Like, say they're going to go on that expedition space, and they're going before you, so they're going to get their guy out first. But I'm going to pay a gem, throw my guy out before that, and take that spot. And now, maybe the next expedition card isn't out yet, or you have to take the one with, just the one
the 3-wood
thing. And you can block people, and it feels successful for yourself blocking somebody too. In a lot of games, if you block, you're taking away from yourself. Here you can both block, and so it brings in an extra, I feel like, strategic part of it is, okay, maybe I would normally want to go on this space first, but I know this one's not going to be available. Someone else, this is really helpful for them, so I'm going to take it anyway, and then block them while still helping me.
Yeah, I'll add on to that by blocking is better in this game simply because because the actions have that and or. It's not just a simple action you're taking. You're getting 2 different actions, sometimes 3, in just one unit one meeple that you're placing down.
And then with all of the options that you can do comes analysis paralysis. That's fairly big in this game. Maybe not as bad as some games like Power Grid, but you definitely can get your spots blocked, and now all of a sudden you're looking at, oh shoot, what other options do I have now?
Speaking of options, to me, some of the buildings can be a little bit more overpowered than others. There's a weapon storage, which gives you 3 points per weapon that you have, and you can have 5 dwarves with 5 weapons, that's 15 points. And then there's another one that allows you, for every pumpkin and wheat that you have, you gain 2 points per. And if you, last game I had 9, so I gained 18 points on that one. Those seem a lot more powerful than you gaining 1 point for every 3 farm animals you have. That, even with me having decently heavy breeding, I got 6 points from that, which kind of leads me into the other thing that can kind of be a con of this game. Going heavy breeding seems like it's sort of harder in this game because there's not many actions. You can only really breed at the end of each round, or once you get a max level warrior out there, then you can breed up to 2 different animals from one of the rewards, which is nice, but there's still takes half, if not 3/4 of the game to get to that 14 level. It takes halfway through the game before you can even start getting pairs for the animals, but to even start getting the mating.
I mean, it's pretty. I think the breeding kind of touches on one of my least favorite things. One of my, besides the setup and teardown, least favorite things of this one was the food management. I understand why it's in there. I understand why it is. It's such a hassle. It really forces your hand a lot of times versus being able to go for points. You have to manage that all. And I just think that breeding is kind of not so much I don't think it's a valid strategy to win. You know what I mean? You kind of do that with your farms, but you don't do that just by itself. Because you like you said, you aren't able to do it a lot often. There's not that many points in it. Each animal, regardless of what they are, is only worth 1 point. Dogs are only worth 1 point. So what's the point? If I go on an expedition and can choose 3 farm animals, that's 3 points. I get 2 points once I'm level 6 just by points. So what is the point? No pun intended. But I just think that it's really just there for the food management, which I hate. I understand it. It's genius how it is, but I'm not very good at it. I don't like it. Hands down.
Yeah. For food management, there's a few different buildings that you can build out that will severely aid you with managing your food. And if you have them, you're in a really good spot. If you don't, you're going to be pulling your hair out if you get blocked left and right on certain areas to be able to get the food you're gonna need, and you're just praying the next round is a no harvest phase.
I just also don't like with some of the food things too is just that you have to get like one of each animal. That just seems kind of tossed in there.
I mean,
You know, like you can use the animals for the food, but then all of a sudden it's like a requirement or you get minus points.
Yeah.
But then that's the other part too is I feel like the minus points aren't really that hard against you, where if you just don't care about them and do whatever gets you the most points is probably the better move anyway.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because I think that me having that compulsion to like not lose points definitely costs.
That's where it's hard, yeah, because at the end of games I'm trying to fill stuff out, but it's like, okay, that's saving me 2 points, but doing this move gets me 6, so it's a net 4 better. So why even do that?
No, and that's just part of the strategy, which is why it's so fun, is that you can kind of choose that. It's just one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, with all the animals and stuff though too, you have animals, you have farming, you have caves, you're going on expeditions. One other big pro of this game, for me at least, is the theme. I love dwarves, I love doing farming games, I love mining stuff, I love going on expeditions, I love getting rewards. Yeah, and I mean on the game side, I mean I love all the resource management-y type stuff. I love that the game is modular, so you can kind of build it how you would like it to be. It's different every time. I think that's a very big pro going for this game.
Yeah, I do enjoy the theme behind it. I think that it's balanced in the fact that if you had a bigger board or a smaller board, it would be too little or too much. You know what I mean? Like it's just the right feel. So I definitely think that they got the number of turns right, the number of everything. Sometimes like Imperial Settlers, like you want that extra turn, like turn 1 or 2, because you're like, oh my god, I want to get all this stuff out. But then by turn 5, you're like, oh my god, can the game just end now? Like this is just the perfect time of turns and actions and everything like that. And with all that, I think that one thing the game is kind of hard to do is start it fresh. You know what I mean? Like you want to have that somebody teaching you, and even that it's a little difficult to learn. It's a little bit steep because there are so many actions to do with this whole game, as we've said several times. So it's kind of hard to pay attention to all of them. It's just it's a high strategy game, so of course the learning curve is a little steep. Just a heads up there. I don't know if you really call it a pro or a con or just an opinion or whatever. It's just that comes with these kind of games. It's difficult to pick up and learn by yourself.
Yeah, it's just good. Hopefully the first time you play, you have people that can explain it to you and go through it with you, and that helps. Like I was the latest to learn this game, and it definitely, at the beginning, it feels very daunting. Like there's too much going on. I remember the thoughts were like, there's too much. How am I going to remember what to do everything? But by what it was like the 4th or 5th card that we turn over for the extra rounds, you have a good idea. You already know you kind of botched the game. You're not out of it. I was actually pretty close. I was in it my first game, but you knew you could have done things better or planned better, or other moves were more important. And you can already see that part way through, and by the end, it doesn't seem overwhelming at all. It's just going to be very difficult. Like, you probably have to add a good hour if you're teaching one person. If you're starting a 4-player game of this and it's all 4 people's first time, I mean, block off the whole day. Yeah. It might be. It might even be an 8-hour workday for you.
Yeah, you get well rested.
Just to try and understand the rules, you'll be checking rule books a lot. Is that how it works? You might play the game wrong.
Probably watch a video on how it's played. Yeah. Just saying.
So step 1, you're starting well.
Yeah. So.
Click a link whenever it arrives.
It's up there already. Don't worry about it. With all that being said, I still think with the learning curve, with the time management, the time commitment of it all, the resource management, everything about it, I would say hands down this game, I'd give it a solid 8.4. I really enjoy it. I will always be willing to play it. I'll usually want to be the one to initiate playing it. I enjoy getting it to the table whenever possible. It is not something that we can just, hey, we got 2 hours, let's whip it out and get it done. No, that's not going to happen. You need to this is the one game we play that day, and that is the one bad thing about it, is that sometimes I like to play a couple of games. Sometimes I like to play other more strategy-intensive games that don't take as long. Mm-hmm. But it's still definitely a solid one for me, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm right up there with you. High 8s, I'd say. Like, 8-7. It is a big time commitment, and with how heavy strategy it is, you also have to feel like actually in the mood to play the game, because it is a lot going on, and you're gonna want to be in the mood for a heavy thinky game if you're gonna play something like this. But yeah, I really like this game. If I'm gonna be dedicating 3 to 4 hours to play a singular game, I would say this is crying right up there in some of the top games that I would choose.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree completely. Like, I'm gonna give this one 2 ratings. The first rating is if I have to set it up and pull it out. If I don't have to set this up, if I'm sitting with a drink in my hand, waiting 15 minutes for this game to start, having some chats, and then we play this game, 9-2. I love this game. I want to play it. If I'm setting it up and putting it away and everything else, I mean,
4-6.
8-4. 8-4. It's a little less of a game, but I'm probably not going to suggest we play it. But if someone's like, hey, I'm setting up Caverna, who wants to play? I'm in. I'll be there in 15 minutes. It's the best game ever then. Well, not the best. Well, close. It's a really good one. If you're doing for what it is and you have the time, this is definitely one of the better games you could be playing.
Yeah.
That being said, we've never played it with, I think 3 is now our limit. And I would be very interested to see how our opinions change after 7. So there might be a part 2 to this review one day when we play with 7 people. God help us if that happens.
If we can find 7 people who are willing to throw in the time for this bad boy.
If you're in the St. Cloud area, by all means. No. Yeah, that's our thoughts on Caverna. Thank you so much for watching. What are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments down below. Do you enjoy the game? Do you not like the game? Do you hate the management of it? Do you spend all your time breeding? Have you found a way to make Craig's breeding fetish work out for him? But he would love to know. Leave that in the comments down below. If you like the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you enjoy other board game content, consider subscribing. That's what we're doing. Really appreciate that on our board game journey here. Otherwise, yeah, I've been Eric.
I've been Craig.
And I'm still Rich.
And whose turn?